Hi everyone, this is Mohammed Hamid Khan, and today I am back with another podcast on semantic SEO. And today I think we're gonna discuss a very, some real examples, some real case studies where Koray's framework is implemented, and I have a very right guy sitting in front of me, Luis. Luis has joined me today, and I've been like following Luis' like YouTube channel and how Luis has implemented the Codis framework. I was curious to learn about how he implemented the Codis framework on his websites and the results, the case studies, the results he's achieved. Basically, just wanted to ask how he achieved those things. So I just created this YouTube channel for my audience to help them understand or interpret Codis framework, Codis concept in a better way, and that's a good step to interview guys like Luis and share his experience. So before moving forward, I think it's better to hand over to Luis and ask him to introduce yourself. Luis, first of all, thanks for joining me today, and I would like you to introduce yourself, your experience with Codis framework, and overall your journey. And over to you.
Thank you, Muhammad, for having me. This is one of the first podcasts I do, and I began doing SEO 10 years ago, roughly, mostly technical SEO. And since January 2021, I switched to semantic SEO, learning about the Koray framework. And over the last 3 years and a half, what I've done is basically learn as much as I can about the semantic SEO and Koray framework. And if you please, we can share with your audience a case study I created a year ago, a step-by-step process, and then we can move from there.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so do you want me to share the screen or just we can have a conversation?
I think it's better if you can maybe show the graphs as well for the audience to maybe
All right,
some build some foundation. By the way, I
good.
was reading your case study the other day. It was really, it was really great. I mean, in the YouTube video, like you explained everything what you done and from when you start and etc. So I guess it's better to start with that thing.
Okay, so let me share the screen. Good. Let me go to the beginning. All right. So basically, what I'm going to share with you is how I began implementing Koray framework and the let's say the terms of the topics we're going to talk about in the Koray framework itself, which is a reranking method, topical coverage, semantic content network, and historical data. On top of that, you can check the video about how I began implementing Koray framework, but now we're going to focus on the content I dissected and can focus on just one piece of, let's say, the overall framework. And here I'm going to share the evolution of the content we optimize and topical coverage, which is basically we were targeting the pet industry, and then we created a customized piece of content in order to, let's say, serve what the user want. And we're going to see the structure of the page. We're going to see everything about the content itself. And then you can check the case study after you can check the video, because the overall idea, we're going to go to the main focus of the content. So first I'm going to share the structure of the page, content structure and strategy. We focus on microsemantics, and here the short analysis we did with the competitors and the content strategy, which is what the competitors, what's the information the competitors have on the page, and then what they're missing, and how we're going to target, let's say, this optimization. So you can see here we check images, videos, headings, tables, the structured data, and the content itself. And then we created a content strategy with just one image, one video. Most of the competitors didn't have video. We implemented headings, we included a table, and then this is a, let's say, thing I usually do, which is include the structured data in the page, and then instead of thousands of words, we just optimize the content with over 200 words. So here the structure of the page, which is basically heading H1, the image, the paragraph, then the video, and then the heading H2, a listing, heading H2, a listing, paragraph, and then another heading H2, a table, and a paragraph. So, and you see here the evolution of the organic traffic with the same rush. And what we did was we implemented a query augmentation strategy, where you see this is a screenshot from Search Console triggering regex, which means in order to filter the traffic we got from numbers, because we include numbers associated with the strategy. And then you see here how we get the 50 whatever, 100 whatever, and then we also get traffic from the year, because we focus on long-tail keywords and microsemantics. We also got feature snippets. For instance, user search for 100, and then the topic we were targeting, and we got the feature snippet as well. And you see the evolution of the content. See the traffic, and then it dropped, and it is explained in the content itself. And you see here the evolution since May 2022. We are now in July 2024. And then also I shared the structured data analysis, which is I always like to implement linked data strategy. And then in order to close, it was very helpful to me listen to Pavel Kunakov's testimonial, because he explained his system about how, which is in a nutshell, you start studying the framework, and once you find a topic or a term you don't understand, you don't move forward. What you do is you go back and look for the definition, and then relate that topic or that term to the previous information you have learned in the framework. So you don't move, you don't try to, let's say, understand the whole framework in a day, because it's impossible. It takes, in my opinion, years. So that's pretty much the, let's say, the structure of how I began implementing the framework. If you please, we can share the case study, the video, and then, let's say, if your audience is beginning in Koray framework, they can, let's say, use this piece of content like the first steps, let's say.
Yeah, that would be perfect. I think being in the industry for like 8 years, I mean, there are like very few people that share the real nugget, or for example, what they have done on a project and the case study stuff. I mean, everyone is, for example, claiming they're like, they know X stuff, they know Y stuff, they're like experts, but real experts share whatever they've done. So I first of all really appreciate like the stuff like the case study you showed and that you shown, basically that's one of the like good gestures. So I've like some questions like regarding your case study, for example. I mean, did you start with the topical map first?
No. What I did was once I began consuming and reading the case studies, because a lot of case studies were created before the videos on the YouTube. So what I did was I got one case studies, which is Reranking, and
Yeah, I remember.
when I dissect the whole, let's say, which is let me share again the screen so
Yeah, please.
people who watch this understand what I'm talking about. All
Yeah,
right.
I will also share the links in the description, but for the audience who just want to read more, so that's fine.
So how I began is very simple. I took this case study, and once I consume the whole content, I say, okay, we're gonna focus on just one, let's say, re-ranking, because it's like a bunch of re-ranking methodologies. So I'm gonna study all the re-rankings methodologies, and I just wanna focus on one. And when I understand one, I'm gonna get that information, and I'm gonna set up the, let's say, the strategy about a piece of content. That's what I share in the case study. Because if we go down to the content itself, there are so many re-ranking. Let me go to the section because I don't remember exactly what it was.
It's a long
But the
one.
thing, yeah, it's a long piece of content, and on top of that, there is so
So
many.
how much time you like I mean spend reading this case study? I
I
mean
mean, a
hours,
lot, a lot of time. I mean,
maybe days.
it took me several months to consume all this content. And
Amazing.
okay, so what is the initial ranking? Yeah, so what is re-ranking for SEO? And here, how to trigger re-ranking process for search engines.
Okay.
What are the re-rankings method and criteria? So here is the complete list of all the re-rank methodologies. There's a bunch of them, you see. There's like
Yeah.
so what I did was I studied all of them and then focus on one. And then I create
Okay.
the case study based on just one re-ranking methodology. Because you cannot implement all the re-ranking methodology all at once in one project or in one piece of code. You see, there is so many re-ranking methodologies.
That's great. And by the way, you said just one re-ranking methodology you implemented and you achieved this number of results, this kind of result. What was that exact methodology? Could you like explain from the start? I mean, you just created a new page or you updated the page based on that methodology, for example.
Yeah, it was microsemantics. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
because from my point of view, let me go. Yeah, focus on microsemantics. From my point of view, microsemantics is an advantage. First, because most people focus on macro semantics rather than micro
Yeah.
semantics, so you have less competition. And on top of that, in the micro semantics, is you have to go to the nitty gritty of the content rather than creating, let's say, hundreds of thousands of pieces of content. I focus in the opposite side, which is less content but more focus on micro semantics. So from my point of view, I have way less competition because I focus on a different thing. Because most people using AI, what they want is creating a lot of content, but without focusing on microsemantics, they focus on macrosemantics.
Yeah, very
So
true.
that's my advantage. And if someone is interested, you can check the YouTube channel when I share examples in microsemantics, how I do it, how you can implement it in several languages, even though you don't speak them. I mean, you don't need to, let's say, understand the language in order to rank for that language.
Yeah. Okay. So for the audience, I guess, is for example, if someone is a beginner or newbie, could you like first explain what is microsemantics, and then further we can discuss how you implemented this specific methodology.
Yeah, microsemantics mean teeny tiny optimizations in the content you already have. So what you
Okay.
do is first you create the content, and then you ask yourself, what information am I missing? So you can go back to either Search Console, Ahref, SEMrush, whatever tool you want, and then recheck your content compared to your competitors and say, okay, I want to rank for this term, but what information am I missing that could enhance the content, not necessarily creating 10 more pieces of content, but including either a question or an answer in the page, or like in the case study I share is, am I missing an image, a table, a video, or a paragraph, or a more descriptive piece of information about the topic I want to rank for? That's basically the definition of microsemantics, which is or maybe optimization by numbers. Like how do you think about the numbers associated with the terms you want to rank for? Like I shared in the case study, because coming back to the topic, pets, we were ranking about pets, but it is a common pattern, like say 10 best whatever, 10 best things about, or 10 best articles about SEO, or 10 best tools about ranking SEO. Yeah, but what about other, let's say, terms related with numbers, like the best 5 techniques to rank in SEO? So the same logic it can be used in all industries.
Yeah, very correct. Yeah.
That's an optimization of, for instance, to be more specific. Let's say your title in an article is best recipes for best recipes to cook pizza, and the article have 5 techniques to cook a pizza, but you can rewrite the title, sorry. You can rewrite the title like 5 best cooking recipes for pizza, or 3 or 10. It depends on the content inside. That would be the
Yeah.
microsemantic optimization.
Okay. Yeah, very nicely explained. Appreciate that. Okay, so regarding the project you worked on, I mean, just for the audience, I want some practical insights out of your project. For example, you you were like you already had a page, for example, that you just updated by implementing the microsemantics, right? Or you created a new document. You created a new page, or just updated the old document that has no traffic.
I update the old document, and again, you can get new insights from Search Console, SEMrush, Ahrefs, any tool, any SEO tool. But on top of that, you can go to the search, and you can trigger on Google or type on Google a term you are already ranking for and check the SERPs. And you can get ideas from different snippets from different competitors. Because let's say, again, going back to microsemantics, you have missed either a term or a topic inside the content, and you're already ranking for a term, but you missed a very important word. For instance, recently I'm working in a project where we are ranking for terms that include the word online, but the word online was not in the copy itself. So once I include the word online in the title, description, heading, and so on and so forth, the content rank even higher, because it's like you add a very valuable information to the page that was missing.
Yeah, you're adding richness. You're like just optimizing, for example, the n-grams. You're adding more, making content more richer compared to the server. I guess one line I really liked about, like, coming from the course itself, I guess you mentioned in your this specific case study as well, like ranking content, and the line is the cost of
Retrieval.
ranking, the cost of retrieval should not be lower than the cost of not retrieval.
Yeah. So basically, is a crawler can check your page, can crawl your page, but do not index, because the cost of processing your page would be much higher than the competitors. So let's say if we put ourselves for a second in a crawler's, let's think like a crawler. I crawl your site first, and the amount of resources I need is very high. So why am I going to trigger another crawler to come to your site if the first one was very costly? However, let's think in a different way. Let's say the crawler comes first to our page, and initially the crawler do not trust the site enough, but at least the cost is very low. So that way they give you like a first signal that maybe it's going to come back again in a few days and re-crawl the page again. So in that time, the crawler can get all the information, do not index more content, but at least get an overall idea about the cost of retrieve your page and put it in the results. So, but let's add more information. Let's say we do microsemantic optimization in those pages in the range of time between the crawler comes the first time and the second time. So the second time the crawler comes, find new information, which is automatically enhance your overall value. So you get, let's say, more trust. So you are more likely to, let's say, rank because you optimize the page. That way of thinking over time is going to give you the traffic, because going back to the case study we shared, the evolution of the project is at 2 years, say 2 years and a few months evolution. So this is not something like it's going to happen from today to tomorrow.
Yeah, that's really a great point, by the way. I think, like you mentioned, like first you analyzed what specific terms the competitors, for example, are getting the historical data on, and through you check through multiple tools you test. Definitely the query semantics come from maybe analyzing the Google SERP itself or the third-party tools as well, or maybe if you have like already some historical data in your Google Search Console, you can maybe look into that and figure out, okay, these terms, are they like, by doing side-by-side analysis, are they like even present in the website or not, or if they are present, are they like mentioned in the right way, in the what context they are like being mentioned, for example, in. So you like first you gathered all the data, right, from different sources. What was the like next step? For example, you figured out, okay, what terms could be a new could be targeted as a separate topic on new pages, or what terms could be targeted on this page? How did you like figure this out? Like which questions you answered on the same page, and which questions you said, okay, these needs a separate page?
Good. We're going to go back to the content, to the case study.
Okay,
Very
great.
briefly, this was the analysis, which is once you identify the terms you want to rank for or the content, and then we did the analysis with the competitors. So the first column is competitors, and the second column is this content strategy, and then we go step by step. How are we gonna compete with images, with videos, with headings, with table, with structured data, and with the content itself?
Okay,
So first
perfect.
is the analysis. In every content creation, you have to do first the analysis, and then you have to study. Once you check the structure of the page of the competitors, how they organize the information, what are they missing, how the page is structured, and so on and so forth. And then you generate a strategy that cover all those blind spots or all that missing information in your competitor page.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
that
that,
makes sense.
that way you say, okay, going back to the example, images, most competitors have several images or dozens of images. We generally have like just one that represent the overall topic where we're going to talk about. Okay, second, video. None of the other competitors have video, so we're going to create a video. And we're going to put it on top, closer to the top as possible. Second or third, headings. Most competitors use several headings or dozens of headings because they provide the content in a listing. We only are going to provide 2. In the table, the same. It's like, can we organize the information in a different way so it is more structured and the competitors don't do it? So we identify a possibility on table. And the same with the structured data. Most of the competitors didn't use the structured data, so we're going to use the structured data. And then if the competitors are using thousands of words in their content, we're going to focus on microsemantics, which is the opposite strategy. So instead of thousands, we're going to use a little bit more than 200. So we're going to cherry pick. We're going to be very careful how are we going to write our paragraphs, or what terms are we going to use. That way, we let's say again focus on cost of retrieval. Cost of retrieval lower than the cost of non-retrieval. So the structure of the page was okay. If most of the competitor words are a very long list with thousands of words, dozens of images, and a lot of headings, but they didn't have video, table, or structured data. So we're going to focus on that. We're going to cover that missing information, and instead of creating a content with thousands of words, we're going to just create content with a few hundred words. That's the overall idea. That's
Yeah,
how
amazing.
it took, let's say, let's go back to it took, let's say, something between quite close to a year in order, let's say, to the search engine to give us the trust to rank for those terms. You see, it's from May 2022 to May 2023. It's a steady process where we fine-tune the content, and then 1 year later, let's say the search engine give us the trust and then give us the traffic. So it's not like a, let's say, quick results strategy. It's like step-by-step process where you're fine-tuning the content, rechecking every a month or 2 months how the keywords are going. Do we get new keywords? Let's fine-tune a heading. Let's fine-tune a paragraph, and then you create like a kind of system that it pays off all the time.
Yeah, that's that's really cool. I mean, I also I've also like seen people who like just follow the top 10 in terms of their words, in terms of their like they always try to they say that they think that quantity over quality. For example, more headings, more keywords, more words, more images. It's not like quantity, it's about quality. While
Yeah.
for example, yeah, so this is, I mean, the comparison you did, for example, in the table format, that's first time I'm like looking at, and that's a good idea, by the way. Regarding microsemantics, you said you just updated one page and that page like got something like 500,000 traffic in 2 years or some months, for example. I mean, like most of the people in the industry also say that semantic SEO is all about compound effect. For example, if you publish 20, 30 pages at once, like very high quality, organized, well structured pages connected with each other, based on the, for example, the user journey or query paths, then you, after a couple of months or after the Google core algorithm update, you expect something like you will replace another website and Google will assign you the topic authority state or of topic authority. So you did opposite, I guess. You just published one page, and by the way, how many other pages were on the website? I mean, you literally connected those pages with this one, or how you figured this out? The
Yeah.
compound effect.
So let me go back to the beginning and share it again. Yeah. Let me share it again. This is a very interesting question, a very good one, because you're gonna hopefully connect the dots. So what happened in this project is there was a piece of content and we spotted an opportunity, because in this case we're targeting pets, and we spot an opportunity to dissect the content in males and females. We're talking about the dogs. So we get the core content, and then we generated 2 extra content associated with the main content. And what it happened is, this is the original piece of content, and we created one for male and it didn't work, which is this one. And we created one for female and it worked, which is this one. So it's a sibling content, not successful, even though the structure is the same. This is a very interesting point, which is, let's say this is the original content and we created 2 extra content with a slightly different structure, because we spot opportunities in this, let's say, core content. And then we spot, okay, let's create one for male pet and then for female pet. But in this case, the male didn't work, but the female worked. So this is like targeting female dogs, and this is targeting male dogs. So we didn't. So we created 2. It's that same content, one for male, one for female. And as you can see, it's like let's say, from time to time you try to replicate things, but it doesn't necessarily are going to work. So so I mean, we have more content in this project, but from one content we created 2 more, and one of them worked, one of them didn't. But again, going back to the time, you cannot analyze in 3, 4, 5 months if the content is going to work or not. It's like you see the evolution from March 2022 to July 2023, which means quite close to 250,000 clicks. because we fine tune, let's say, every month the content itself in order to tweak it, in order to gain more and more traction. And the same with this content, but this one didn't work and this worked. Implementing exactly the same procedures. So that's why when people want to automate everything, yeah, you can automate it, but it doesn't mean it's going to work exactly the same.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's
it's
why
so. Yeah, please.
that's why that's why semantic SEO is not like a revolutionary methodology that is going to work 100% of the time, because here's an example where we replicate the same strategy for female and for male, and one worked and one didn't. So
Yeah. I think I would agree. By the way, it's like about testing. I mean, you will not create a perfect content network when you in your first try, or like when updating a page based on semantics, for example. First you understand one component, then you understand second, then connecting all components together, maybe creating it's like all about creating a balance for machines, like creating a page rank with authority. I think this definition also I got from Koray. So I guess uh, the templated approach, I think it's really working crazy for some sites. Even the team color codes, if I remember correctly, the name, the website on which Corey worked on. I've read the case study that the great results he achieved by the and all the templated content just by changing the values or where they matters based on the attributes of the context. Did you also do the same, for example, like one piece of content you written properly by following the methodologies or approaches, and you just replace the value, or you made the content unique as well, for example?
no, in this case was exactly the same, but just changing male and female, and
Okay,
that's
okay,
it.
okay.
So again, you can use a query template methodology, but in this situation, the query template didn't work that well because it's only two. Query
Yeah.
template work much better when it is, or there are a lot of content to cover and a lot of terms. But again, the logic is the same. It's like you spot an opportunity, you create a template, and then you can use it, and then you can replicate it. But in this, let's say in this kind of test, it's 50-50. It's male, female, only two options. One worked, one didn't. Success ratio roughly is 50%, which is not bad. But in a query template with where you're going to use let's say an e-commerce, when you have thousands of products, it's way easier to, let's say, replicate and get the reward. So I would use that methodology in that situation.
Yeah, Korean template methodology. I'm really a big fan of this approach. Like for new websites, that cannot afford a big budget, for example, they can go with this approach. They can maybe start targeting one query template and create a one brief document template and then one content document in the same way, and they just apply on the rest of the values in the query template. So I guess query templates is the, I guess, go-to strategy for any website that is like, for example, starting from scratch, I guess. So that also worked most of the times. I mean, for me, what we did for a like website that has like a lot of around 300 products in the start. I mean, what we did, we created a product template, and
Mm-hmm.
like with all the H2s, the attributes, the titles, writing methodologies, and everything, with the represented grouper question, boolean question, all the semantics we like put together, and we created a one template, and it took us like 2 weeks to finalize that one template. Okay, and then what we did, we applied that one brief, or sorry, one content template to the rest of the products by changing their names. And if, for example, one product has some special attribute, we just prioritize the heading, something like that. We just did that, and so far, like just a week ago, the impressions are going up, like you can say, uh, like rocket. So this is the, I guess, the real beauty of targeting, like templated approach, I guess. And by the way, most of the people are like still struggling with creating semantically optimized content. I mean, everyone, like every other guy in semantics or in SEO, talk about like topic research, creating topical map, but no one literally talking about microsemantics. Like you are telling, that's really great to hear from you. But like for example, if someone is trying to write content for the brief that the person is created, can you like share some tips, like what main components that one person needs to follow in creating the content, like EAV triples? You can tell whatever you think based on your experience.
Yeah, going back to what you mentioned about impressions. First, like we'd focus on impressions because without impressions, you're not gonna get clicks. Having said that, uh, once you create the briefing, like I mentioned in the beginning, you have to, once you set up your strategy, you have to think about what information am I missing, which means, okay, I get the URL, the title, the headings, everything. And then once you are generating the briefing, you have to think about what information am I missing about the product or the service or whatever you want to rank for. And in that analysis, you are going to spot, let's say, all the terms you were missing that, for instance, include numbers, or maybe you have missed terms that include, or maybe you have missed questions that you, let's say you do the analysis with any SEO tool and you spot like 3 questions to include in the content. But what about a related question? Did you check people also search in the search results? Are you missing like a very important question that the user might ask, but you haven't found in any SEO tools? That's the microsemantics. Or also, let's say you sell a product in an e-commerce, but a microsemantic optimization is, have you checked that people search that product with a specific color, on a specific size, or with a specific dimension, something associated with the product itself or the term you want to rank for. Let's say, in order
Yeah.
to provide an example, let's say you wanna, let's say car rental, and then you can say car rental, and then you can choose the city, or you can choose brand of the car you want. But then you can, because I'm sharing this analysis because I work in the car industry. So let's say a user want to rent a car, that then he really want a specific brand, let's say Mercedes or Tesla. Let's say car rental Tesla, but then you can include also the city, you can include the model, you can include the color. So that would be an example of microsemantics, which means you provide all the information about the car, the city, the color, the model, everything. So the more granular and the more specific, the more rich is the information, the better, because you are adding microsemantic optimization about the term you want to rank for.
I think this is the real challenge, by the way, like to figure out all the context, then how to target those contexts, what order they should follow, how to create connections between them, what direction, what flow they will be like, what direction they will be like flowing, etc. And I think most people say that macro semantics or creating a topical map is very difficult thing. I know it's difficult, but for me, creating a brief document and writing the content exactly. For example, you write content basically for ranking. This is your first goal, right? I mean, if you're like writing a question, your maybe goal is to rank in the feature snippet, right? So how you gonna rank on that feature snippet? There must be some rules, there must be some format, I think. So it's about creating strategy based on each section or each objective or for each term that you want to rank for. Like in your case, what was your, I mean, strategy to rank in like you said, you started ranking in a feature snippet for the term like 10 and something like that. So for someone who just want to know, okay, he will also want to rank in the feature snippet, what strategy he can follow?
Okay, let me prepare for you a query I'm going to trigger, because this feature snippet has been working for over a year now.
The same
So
website is ranking
excuse me?
for the same website is ranking for the feature snippet or
Yeah,
different.
this is a different project, but I can share it publicly because I share publicly information about this project. Let's say I'm going to trigger a query from DuckDuckGo. So if I
Sure.
go to Google and the query is in Spanish,
Yeah, I see.
this is a query template, which is basically a project related to horsepower about a car. You see, what is the horsepower or about a car? So if I trigger this query, you see the feature snippet. So
Sorry, what?
basically,
Sorry, can you translate the query in English for me, just for the like verbally, if you tell what you've written?
yeah. So it's like asking to a search engines, what is the horsepower of the
150.
number the let's say transform the horsepower of a car to a value that is necessary in the documentation of the car.
Okay, okay.
So
Thank you, thank you.
the overall topic, the overall idea is very simple, which is question answer, question answer. So
Yeah.
let's say you see this is the query template, and then we can
Yeah.
trigger any of this. I think this one we target as well. You see, so we
Same
get
website.
a same bets at different feature snippet. Let's go back to.
Yeah.
So you see, is the same content, the image is different, the
Yeah.
questions is different, slightly different, and the result again is slightly different. Again, because we provide question answer. This is a very good practice in semantic SEO, because this snippet targets several topics from the price framework, which is question answers, then query template, and then cost of retrieval, because we provide question answer, question answer. So
Yeah.
the search engine spots like a piece of content on the internet that answered most of the questions with the lowest cost. That's why we rank for this.
So I have a question. Let's suppose you have a website that you also want to rank for the same query and you want to compete, you want to outrank this feature snippet, the website which is ranking. What would be your go-to strategy?
Okay, my strategy would be the same I shared with the case study, which means first I'm going to analyze the site that rank on top. Second, I'm going to see the structure of the content. And third, I'm going to compare and contrast with the site that show up in the second position, the third position, the fourth position, and so on and so forth. And on top of that, I'm going to check let me change the content in English so it's easier for the audience. I'm going to check also people also add questions and look at the sites that are here. So
Sure.
you see this content also rank from the same terms for the same question, but do not show up in the first position. They're doing something different from our strategy. That's why they don't rank for. you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're asking the question in a different way.
Yeah.
They're not in the query template game. You know what I mean? It's like this is the same question, but in a different way. You
I can
see?
see it. Yeah. Yeah.
So this teeny tiny things is microsemantics. This is a different way to ask the same question, but in a slightly different way. And on top of that, is not grammatically correct because you need an S here. This is Spanish, but you see this information, this piece of content is providing a table. Yeah, but the search engine don't want the information in the table. They want question answer rather than the table.
Yeah. You have to
That's the
understand the
game.
format as well.
That's the game basically.
And by the way, wouldn't be like it be a great idea to first of all extract the entities that are mentioned in the feature snippet text? And I mean, sometimes I use a tool for kind of NLP analysis, like sometimes diffbot as well. Just copy the text what already appearing on a feature snippet, put into that tool, and figure out what the entities according to the NLP are there, and what are the relations of those entities, how they're connected together. And maybe if some entities are mentioned in the text I can read, but the tool is not maybe displaying in the diagram or in the mind map maybe. So maybe, which means those entities are not mentioned in a clear way. I have the chance, I have the opportunity to make the text more clear, and maybe I will just rewrite what already in the feature snippet in my own semantic methodologies or approaches, or by applying the rules, and see how the diagram progress, and is it like now updating or picking the entities that were not previously in the competitor's feature snippet. So this is, I think, a good maybe to follow.
Yeah, that's a very good point on that. Related to what you mentioned, let's analyze this. Even though it's in Spanish, it's very simple. This terms is the entity which is horsepower, but here the word itself is only horse. So the machines is not clear about what you mean. However,
Yeah.
you see here the whole entity, which is horsepower, horsepower. Here the same. Is they're missing one word. So semantically, yeah, and here they're using a different translation,
Entity.
which is entity. So that's why they don't rank because they're different. This is a combination between entity, main entity, and microsemantics. It's not the same uh, caballos fiscales, which means horsepowers, because here is called caballos de fuerza, which is not the same. So that way, that's teeny tiny things are the one that are going to move the needle. That's why we have been ranking with this feature snippet over here, and nobody, let's say, get this position because the structure of all this content, the structure of the pages, the content, the tables, so on and so forth, the question, the answers, from a semantic search engines, they do not understand that piece of content as well as understand the structure of this page, which is question, answer, question, answer. That's it. That's the game. That's teeny tiny things that are gonna allow you to rank higher. But you cannot. Most of the time, you cannot automate that because you're not gonna spot the teeny tiny things that are gonna move the needle. Because an SEO tool or any AI tool are not gonna give you the edge. Basically, you have to understand the industry. You need to understand your client, the product, the service, and you cannot, in my opinion, you cannot automate this 100%. I mean, someday, yeah, in the future, quite likely, but nowadays, it's more likely your rank implemented this kind of adjustment because at the end of the day, it's an LLM or a natural language processing algorithm that
Yeah.
is
It's the
try to
machine.
understand.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the goal is not to be 100% pixel perfect. The goal is to be better than your
competitors.
competitors. So, and I can, I maybe if someone can implement maybe like 50 or 60 or 70% even of Korea's framework, maybe they can outrank the competitor. I haven't seen no one like who's like 100% implemented the Korea's framework, because if someone, I'm just like looking at the potential. So people just implementing less things and they're like achieving more. So but the industry's trends are changing. And by the way, I have some good questions that I would love to ask, because we have like gone deep dive in a lot of practical stuff till yet, and just like 3 or 4 more questions I'm like would love to ask based on your experience, based on the topical authority course, for example, or your learning journey, for example, how you learn things, etc., etc. So my first question would be very interesting. Like you mentioned in your LinkedIn post, you read Korea's case studies, a lot of Korean studies. By the way, how many case studies of Korea you have read so far?
All of them. I mean,
All of them. How
I've,
many are there, by the way?
I've consumed all the content on the internet about Koray framework. I'm son of them several times. Case studies, YouTube channel, Holistic SEO YouTube channel, Koray's interviews, everything. And that's why over the last 3 years and a half, I get these kind of results. If not, it couldn't be possible.
3 years
I
and a
mean,
half, it's been a long time you've been reading all this.
yeah, it's like but you have to approach it like, from my point of view, you have to approach it like a never-ending game where every day you learn something new. I mean, most people get overwhelmed because of the amount of content, but you just do every day. You set up like a routine. Um, I don't know. You consume one video one day, and then a section of a case study another day, and so on and so forth, and then you are connecting the dots. And again,
Yeah.
going back to Pavel Klimakov video is when you find a new term and you don't understand it, you go back. You don't go forward, because you have to connect the knowledge and the terms, and you have to understand it, and you have to at least see it in your mind, and then go back to the case study and see an example in order to get the results. Because if you don't see it first in your head, you're not going to be able to implement it. So you can begin by, let's say, teeny tiny things like the things I shared. It's like, okay, you get one piece of content, and then you think about how am I going to optimize this landing page. Don't go crazy. Don't go about topical map. Okay, how am I going to optimize this piece of content, and how am I going to do it? Like, what specific optimization I'm going to do, and then get let's say, I'm going to introduce the concept of historical data, which means if you track every optimization over time, over a year, not only for a landing page, but a project overall, you can see the evolution, and you can at least reasonably be accurate about what you did and the results. Because if not, it's like because there are so many variables involved that when you tweak one, you don't know the results. That would be my approach.
I think you just explained the best method to learn this framework, by the way. By the way, almost follow the same approach. So it's like about building building blocks. I mean, without one concept, you cannot go to the next one, because maybe the next one is like based on the first one. So and maybe for even I like started the course like after the first video. I mean, that was like maybe very lengthy. So I really figured out, okay, it's not like my cup of tea, and maybe I created a list. Okay, first I have to learn these XYZ thing like linguistics, NLP, search engines, couple of basic concepts like information retrieval, for example, some more query parsing. Yeah. So I thought before taking the actual material from the course, first I have to clear some foundation, clear some basic concepts. And unfortunately, not ChatGPT didn't help me, not even Google answers, because there were like mainstream media, I mean, that were explaining SEO. They don't really knows about what really semantic SEO means. For example, I don't want to name the mainstream media, you know better. So this specific framework or the terminologies, methodologies, they all being, you have to find within the course framework, and this is the real challenge. Okay, where to find, and YouTube videos are there, case studies are there, maybe the course, if you are like good, you can afford it, you should buy it, definitely. I always say people, but if you can't afford it, don't worry, you watch case studies, you read case studies, watch videos, etc., for example, and everything is there. You have to you have to do the extra work, you have to do the hard work, and without hard work nothing is possible.
No,
Without
let's say,
hard sorry Without hard work, talent is nothing.
yeah. So let's use an analogy. Let's say, because our native language is not English, so we're gonna use an analogy, which is learning English and learning semantic SEO or Koray framework.
Yeah.
The first day, the first time you study English, you learn a few words, and that's about it. It's the same
Correct.
logic like learning Koray framework. So for most people, it takes years to learn English, studying on a regular basis and practicing and making mistakes. Why do you think that learning semantic SEO Koray framework is going to be different? You have to put the effort, you have to spend the time, spend the money, the energy, the resources, and over time, you're going to get the results. I mean, if let's say that instead of semantic SEO or Koray framework, we're talking about an English academy, and you go to the first day to the English academy, you don't speak English at all, and they say to you in the English academy, hey, in a month you're not going to speak English fluently, and you're going to be able to communicate at a professional level with any native English speaking person. I mean, are you going to believe that English academy? I don't think so.
No.
So it's pretty much the same in semantic SEO or any other thing. It's like all those shiny objects on the internet that tells you you're gonna get results quick and easy is, I mean, from my point of view, is not that logical.
I mean, the reason is simple. Everyone is like following the mainstream media, and after a core update, everyone got penalized or hit by the update, because everyone is like following same. Google easily understanding the patterns of the typical SEO methodology or strategy. You win when you do something unique, or for example, you reinvent the wheel, not just following one page, two page, or competitors. You simply, based on your budget, based on your industry, based on your knowledge, you craft a strategy. I think this is the real beauty. It applies everywhere, not just in semantics. So I think it's really good conversation we had so far, by the way. And for people who are just listening to this, I'm meeting Luis for the first time. We even didn't discuss anything before. I mean, it's very unplanned, totally random conversation around semantics. So I really appreciate Luis sharing his insights transparently, and that's good, brother. Okay, so Luis, can you like recommend some uh, resources? I mean, there are tons of case studies people know on YouTube and on holistic SEO.digital or on LinkedIn or newsletter of Koreys as well. I mean, do you all, also have created some roadmaps or frameworks like your materials that you want to share with someone, uh, like the glossary, documentation rules, anything like that someone can help from?
No, most of the information I have created and I share with the industry is the case study we have seen in this call on my YouTube channel. And
Sure.
from time to time, I also share things on LinkedIn. But I haven't created like any other material in order to, let's say, teach or share further information, because I do believe that it's better if you follow the step-by-step process in the semantic SEO course, because it's like it has been tested, yeah, and it has been followed by thousands of people nowadays. So it's better to buy the course and go step by step, because on top of that, the course has been enhanced and updated, so you have more information. So that methodology is way better than the information I share, because my approach might confuse, let's say, beginners in the semantic SEO rather than help them. So I hope that this, let's say, overall idea help them in the, let's say, where to begin or where to focus on, because if not, it's like again, it's gonna be like so much information, so much knowledge that they are not going to be, let's say, they're gonna believe it. They're not going to believe it, and on top of that, they're not gonna know where to begin. So I highly recommend everyone to go to the semantic SEO course and start from there.
Yeah, thank you for your uh, transparent explanation. I really appreciate that. And by the way, I think that's it. And would you like share something, some advice or tidbits for the newbies, for example? Anything like any mistake you see the people following, any mistake you see people making more often, you want them to avoid that, or any piece of advice for a newbie, just as a conclusion note.
I would go back to the analogy how to use learning English, which means it's a step-by-step process, it's a building block process. And again, going back to the analogy, you go to learn English, there are so many courses, so many ways you can learn English, but you have to choose one, and you have to choose a methodology. And if you begin to study English, you're not going to go to past perfect before you study present simple. So in semantic SEO, you're not going to create a topical map or a semantic brief without understanding the basic concepts. So I encourage everyone to start from the beginning, which means go to the course, follow the steps, and if you don't understand something, go back to the beginning, or either ask in the community to, let's say, ask for help, or
Community is really great.
search for that definition of the things you don't understand, and then try to connect with the previous terms or previous concept, and then move from there. That would be my advice.
Amazing, that's great. And I think that's it. By the way, you attended so far 4 conferences where you met Korea, and I hope you're also coming to Turkey this maybe September if the official dates are not announced. So, are you coming?
Yeah, we are waiting for the announcement,
Yeah.
because eventually a semantic SEO event is going to be gathered in Turkey. But so far, I think we are all waiting for the announcement.
All right. All right, Luis. Thanks for joining me today and sharing about your experience, mainly about microsemantics. Definitely, if people really want to care about the more episodes, we can maybe do more like on macrosemantics or even some more. Definitely, there are like thousands, or maybe we can podcast create based on the materials out there. So once again, thanks for joining, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you for